over here getting ready. I couldn't sleep last night. I actually ended up arguing with some chick in the comment section. She's like commenting underneath, not even my own SWP page. She's over there commenting underneath my Second Amendment page. And I'm gonna continue this conversation when I get to my vehicle. I don't even know why I'm starting this video now. Over here getting dressed. Oh man, but she's talking about, we're back to the conversations about black men building and all this bullshit. And I'm laying it out to her about women and their belief systems and the whole community, and you need to go into the inner city and fix it up. I'm saying? I've been watching end of sentence videos, all day. Or not all day, but I was watching them late last night, and I spent a minute watching them. And I don't know, like the whole video, all his videos just reinforced to me like the type of culture in the community that's valued, And where the hell are my shoes at? It's like that's the culture that people value. And everybody wants the community to be fixed. Everybody says they want shit to be fixed. All right. But they want it to be fixed on their terms. We've talked about this. They want you to come in and fix things and then, get the fuck out. Hold on, let me finish this when I get all my shit going. Good morning. How are you? Good. They fixed the elevator yet? Yes. Oh, okay. Anyway, I find it interesting, the women that always come at me, however they want to come at me. And, they come at me, discussing, the black male-female relationship dynamic. And, they want to go, black men, y'all don't build nothing, y'all failed, this, that, and the third, which is true. I still look at women like, you're the first teachers, you're 50% of the community, but no accountability there. I'm like, okay. But, I'm telling you, people can't wrap their head around this whole aspect of belief system. This whole, y'all need to go out there and build and then we'll get with the program and shit has to be presented. That ship has sailed, just so that you know. Even watching, like I was saying, the end of story and the whole mystique that surrounds the culture of violence and gangs and all those guys got baby mamas and kids. It's like you want to talk about any black male savage that you want to talk about, there's women in their lives. But yet, a lot of black women gonna come on and act like, they're all just these innocent victims, like, again, it highlights what many women support. And as has already been pointed out, Ray Ray and Pookie and the Dusties, they don't have any power either. But y'all respect how they move and how they operate, but they don't have any power. They can't tell you what to do. They haven't built anything. They haven't done anything, but that is what you all respect. In conjunction with the fact that, apparently those guys aren't making any demands. So you end up with, black women that, that's the culture that that they elevate. I get so tired of this idea, oh, you ELs, you need to go in there and clean this up. Yeah, you clean it up and then, go sit down somewhere after we're done cleaning it up. And it doesn't work like that. As I've stated before, and I told this woman in the comment section, I'm like, the whole reason why, black women are unsuccessful with other racism, it isn't just because you're not physically attracted to other races. I don't even think that's the biggest reason. I think it has to do with a lot of the patriarchal aspects. The fact that when you go over the fence, you're dealing with real patriarchy. If you don't want to deal with it with black men, you don't want to deal with it with other races of men. Now, some sisters try to paint the picture like, oh, we're comfortable and we're fine with white patriarchy. We just don't like, black patriarchy. And I'm saying there might be some women that are on that shit, but by and large, no. Not when you take a snapshot and you look at, the cultural collective orientation of many black women and the belief systems and what they think is what they think has is worthy of respect. I look at other communities, and to me it doesn't, like, all this stuff, the community stuff that goes down, it doesn't just come from just some innate intrinsic love. There's benefits to a community. It reminds me of that TED talk with that African leader or African psychologist, whatever he was. He was up there talking about how, when black youth grow up, they grow up in a world where they see, black institutions that fail. And I was like, in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, when you want to talk about, the conception, the nucleus of self-hatred, when you have a community that's unable to function and get anything done, right? And so, black women love to charge black men with this responsibility of patriarchal duties and patriarchal responsibilities, but they fundamentally don't believe in such a system. Even when you're sitting there talking about it hypothetically, there's all sorts of crazy, retarded resistance. And again, like I'm saying, that resistance translates over why, the whole interracial and the swirl aspects and all that other stuff end up failing a lot of times. And other races of men are aware of, the sort of attitude, quote unquote, that a lot of sisters have. And that attitude, that's like that word needs to be unpacked sometimes, because it's an all-encompassing word. It's not just bad attitudes, it's not just sass. Truth be told, when people talk about somebody having a bad attitude, it's to a man, it's lack of cooperation. It's like, oh, she ain't gonna cooperate with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not gonna be easy to get along with, deal with. I'm trying to make moves, trying to do this. No man wants to deal with a woman that's going to give that type of resistance. I remember when I first came online, sisters was like, you're just mad because you can't handle a strong black. Why do I gotta handle you? Why do y'all act like that? Like that shit is some shit to be proud of, to where a man has to handle you. But I mean, and the other thing is, like, the woman comes over and she's like bitching, about what the hell was she bitching about? There was a point I was about to make, but I'm driving. My attention is split right now. What'd she make a point about? About me talking about, black women for 10 years and this, that, and the third. And again, people don't understand, like, when you get more information. Right, but she's bitching. Black women have moved on, and okay, so why are you underneath my comment section on my Second Amendment channel, which is not the channel that where I talk about black men and women's interpersonal relationships? You know what I'm saying? Like the channel's about Second Amendment, and yeah, there's some overlap and some gray area and interpersonal aspects that contribute to our whole the way that we view the Second Amendment. Like, example, if you don't have a patriarchal, home, you don't have patriarchal neighborhoods, the whole concept of a man having, let's say, a rifle to defend his home, it's a dead concept, right? You don't have enough patriarchal men in the neighborhood in order for, the Second Amendment to really, have that oomph. Like when you hear about white men and they talk about the Second Amendment, they talk about it from the standpoint that they're defending some shit. You see? But, as it pertains to, black men, what would they be defending? The matriarchy? The ghettos? What would they be defending? You know what I'm saying? After watching End of Sentence, not End of Story, what did I say? End of Story, End of Sentence. I'm just saying, looking at it, I'm like, nah, you would have to go in there and purge. Like, real talk. You would have to go in there and take Ray Ray and Pookie, out completely. I mean, aside from the fact that they're just, insanely violent, they're the current alphas of that environment, and they're not going to go out without a fight. If they taking each other out like that, and then on top of that, the fact that that they know that ELs don't have that type of heart or that type of spirit, that type of savagery. It's like, yeah, who the fuck is you? But overall, this is just continued. Dudes are really checking out. The ELs and stuff, they're checking out. And the stupidness, the silliness on Kevin Samuel's show with the women calling in, and they got kids that they had by somebody else, and talking about how they want high value, and like, dudes are just, that is just kind of the nail in the coffin, and yeah, it is bullshit that you had men that they weren't gonna get ready to do shit anyway. Like, they weren't going to get ready to fix or repair or do any of the stuff that needs to be done, right? Because it does need to be done, but there's a whole aspect of is it worth it? Are you going to get the type of reaction that you need to get? Like, I was watching some video of some Japanese, it was a Japanese tailor, right? Japanese tailor. And the tailor, he's making these suits and by hand, and he went to Italy and learned how to be, this suit maker, this Napoleon suit maker, right? You just type in Japan or Japanese tailor, Napoleon suit maker, it'll come right up. And I'm looking at the amount of discipline, the amount of detail that goes into this guy, the hours. He's sewing by hand. People got to wait 9 months for a jacket, right? That means, like, obviously he's got to be paid, charging a high rate, for all the hours and the time that he puts into making these suits. Gets up every day to make these suits that he probably has some millionaire or billionaire Japanese guy, going out and, buying and everything. And I'm looking at how, like, in the black community, certain things like that are not appreciated. Like, I'll never forget the woman saying that, Kanye West was the best composer of all time. And this is in comparison to Quincy Jones, the man that gave us Thriller. Kanye West can't even read music, nor write it. You know what I'm saying? So, here we go with the, basically what happened in the 80s, where you had bands that actually had musicians, and it was live music, and live music is just dead in the black community. It's like, unless you get guys that go to, like, the school of musical arts or something like that, it's dead in the black community. Cap tells me all the time, he's got, because, Cap was in a band, and he tells me all the time that, many of his musician friends that are, instructing students, when it comes to the black students, they don't know how to read music. They've never been trained. The white kids, they've been trained. If he introduces children to, like like opens up a music room, the black kids just run towards the microphone. And they don't run towards any of the instruments. They just run towards the microphone. And it's like, like that kind of highlights to me the sort of value system that exists in the black community. Right, which and speaking on value, the woman, she was like, and black men haven't done this, and black men haven't done that, and black men have the audacity to try to, whatever, I don't know what she said, establish value or something like that. They have the audacity to try to, basically say which, what they want, or which women are this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, they can do that. Bottom line, whether I'm broke or whether I got $1 million in my pocket, a 300-pound woman has no value to me. Okay? A baby mama with multiple baby daddies has no value to me. There's no way for them to make themselves valuable to me. You can sit there and talk about, whether I have value to you, but that doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the reality, or regardless of how you think about me, you can ignore and say, well, I don't value your opinion. Okay, that's fine. But clearly you do if you're bitching about men that you don't value, who don't value you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a wash to me. But to sit there and act like, the only men that can have an opinion on you are men who've, won a race war or built nations and all this other stuff. I'm like, you're sadly mistaken. That's not how it works. Any person can determine what they are and aren't willing to accept. You can't force that on anybody. If I say 300-pound women have no value to me, they have no value to me. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how you feel about that, they have no value to me. So, it's just like little shit like that I'm just like, I'm just shaking my head at these type of messages that I get. The culture is as such. We got, matriarchs, matriarchal orientations, belief systems. I tried to explain to the woman, I was like, all this, y'all ain't building this, that doesn't hold water anymore. Not when you have women who have openly, well, in ancient Africa, we were ruling shit. Okay, well, if you fundamentally believe at your core that black women are supposed to be ruling shit, then the conditions of the community are irrelevant. You're not getting with the program because, the black men haven't built X, Y, and Z. It sounds good on paper. But that's not why you're not getting with you're not getting with because you fundamentally don't believe at your core that that's your role. You don't believe that. You know what I mean? So, with that said, that only further exacerbates, the lack of value. I'm not going to say that that's the only reason why the men don't value. They could be colorist, they could be self-hating, whatever it might be. You know what I mean? But if you're that uncooperative to that degree, to any man that's trying to get shit done or do anything, even in his own personal individual life, you have no value to him. You serve no purpose. There is no benefit to getting with you. You're not going to be the woman that he wants. He's going to look elsewhere. He's not going to go out there and fight for you and build for you and bend over backwards for you. He's not going to do all that for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, he gets nothing out of dealing with or interacting with you because you're that uncooperative. You have a different orientation. You can't even align your goals and his goals together. And you got sisters that like they write me messages and comments and shit like that, and they just want to completely ignore the fact that you have, a majority of black women out here who have the wrong orientation. Just the same as the Ray Rays and Pookies clearly outnumber black men like myself. Okay, I can't sit here and deny that fact. I can't sit there and deny, that you got black men that either, aren't doing anything, don't want to do anything, or can't do anything because they got jammed up in the system, versus brothers that are, trying to be or are upwardly mobile, not bogged down with kids and baby mamas, and are trying to do something with their life. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to sit there and, because I can say, I can look at it from the standpoint of how many brothers there are that I can even, go out here and work with. It's not that many. There's not even a lot of brothers that I can go out here and share the fact that I'm into firearms. I got to worry about some nigga, thinking like, oh, we know Pete's got guns. You know what I'm saying? So they plotting on me, thinking about how they can, get a gun off me and then give it to their peoples so they can go out there and do some old, fucking, Ray Ray and Pookie shit. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I had the hopes that, we get the community together and all that other stuff, but there's too much shit. Like, in other words, if it was just, you go in there and you fix the problems and then, people respect it and value that and really, cast the bullshit to the side, then we could have that discussion. But with these belief systems between the matriarchal stuff and, and the women think that they're supposed to be in charge, and the way that street culture is elevated, like what they're doing in the streets, all the gang stuff, all the hustle stuff, all of that is the way that all that is respected as a way of life. That's too much. That's too much. You can't turn around by simply going in there and quote unquote fixing the problem, because the way that it's looked at is you're going in there and you're fixing, their current problem, but they don't have no real respect for you. They don't have any respect for what you actually did. You're not gonna get to call shots because you went in there and did X, Y, and Z. Like, you literally have to go in there and overpower the situation completely. Which at the end of the day, it would literally mean that Dusty's got to go. Okay? It would mean that there would have to be a purge to eliminate, those rogue individuals that also have wrong orientation, who believe that, they're going to be able to muscle their way through the world and whatnot. So, you're going to have to deal with them with muscle, with force. And the fact that, we already know that you're going to have women who are going to, defend those guys and defend that situation, even though they're very much a problem. But you're going to have women talking about, no, not my brother. No, not my cousin. No, not my ex-boyfriend. No, not my baby daddy. No. I'm like, yo, this motherfucker is causing damage. He got to go. No. Right? No, again, ELs and the black men, they got the resources. They're looked upon as bots. Yeah, just come in here and fix this shit, nigga, and when you done, get the fuck out. That's how they're looked at. And so, with that going on, you talking about, oh, y'all need to build, and yeah, black men need to build for their own personal individual benefit. But all that, rescuing the whole rest of the community, when I sit there and I look at, these cultural orientations and belief systems, I'm like, how do you change your belief system? That's like trying to get a Christian off of Christianity or trying to get a Muslim off of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not comprehending how strong a belief system is. When you believe that, Kanye West is the greatest artist of all time, as opposed to recognizing that there's skill and time and effort and talent and training that goes into, somebody like Quincy Jones. You don't elevate one over the Kanye West over Quincy Jones. That shouldn't even be comparable. But I'm saying that's just an example of the type of, when people have a belief system, and they it doesn't matter what the facts are on the ground, and you're like, but Quincy Jones actually reads and writes music. You just go through. There's songs that he has written that you love, and you don't even know that he's written those songs. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying when you get people like that can play multiple instruments or write, I'm going to do the piano section. I'm going to do the violin section, or actually piano doesn't have a section, but I'm saying I'm going to do the piano. I'm going to do the violin. I'm going to do the flute and the clarinet and the saxophone and the percussion. And it's like, that's talent. That's some serious talent and skill. It's not just some, I have rhythm, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm like, are you really gonna put that up against, cold in Minnesota? Yeah, it's catchy, but it's not on par. But when you have, when you're asking, for there to be craftsmen in the black community, you know what I mean? To actually establish something in the black community that's not just going to be some bullshit. That's not just going to be some, just paste over this shit so it looks nice, but it has a crumbling foundation. Like when you're like essentially demanding that level of dedication and discipline, I'm like, you cannot put that on par with bullshit and try to equalize it. And that's where the problem comes in. And that's where, I look at, the black men, that are, the progressive black men that know what a community is supposed to look like and function like. And I say, I'm like, nah, man, don't go in there, man. Don't go in there. Because there's not going to be a genuine appreciation for the blood, sweat, and tears and the time and the effort that you actually are putting in, in what you're doing. It's not going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't encourage anybody that has that type of skill set to go in there and do a half-assed job. And I most certainly don't encourage anybody to go in there and put in that type of, hard work and effort and energy, and then only to be told, we don't have no respect for you, or we have just as much respect for this Dusty over here, or you ain't no better than them, or what's other stupid ass shit that'll be said? Nigga, don't be expecting just because you did X, Y, and Z that you gonna run shit, or you gonna tell us what to do, or you gonna dictate, value and this, that, and the third. Like I said, it doesn't, like, at the end of the day, like there's no, even if you try to validate, being in the position to, dish out edicts. You know what I'm saying? The fact of the matter is there are people that don't want you to be able to do that. That's why you get women that like dealing with Pookie and everything, because Pookie's not in a position to call shots. Everything's in his mama's name. Everything's in her name and shit like that. You see? But when you're dealing with real patriarchs, that's not the situation. You don't have power in that situation. Yeah, the man has a responsibility and a duty and an obligation to take care of and provide and everything. Y'all like that part. But what you don't like the part is the part where you feel you lose control. The part where you have to now, go to men, as the final authority on getting shit done. You see, which I don't even understand why women bitch about that sometimes, because I'm like, men are socialized to freaking please women and give women what they want, and then brag about it to each other. Hey, I did this for my wife, and I did this, and I did that. But like, again, the cultural orientation, even amongst the majority of black men, they don't even take pride on that shit. You know what I mean? They just don't. It's like, I mean, when in other words, it's not going to be a good day to me until you end up with a situation where black men take pride in fighting over a check. It's like, to the death, mom. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying for it. You know what I mean? I see that with other races. I don't see that with brothers. Oh, you got this, right? And again, you have women that have, been dealing with, those type of brothers, whether it's, byproduct of them dealing with them for so long, or a byproduct of them liking to deal with them because, in other areas, they don't have to deal with the man's authority. As has been stated numerous times, black women don't like black men to dominate any other place outside of the bedroom. Now some women have said, well, that's because that's the only place that black women are allowed to be submissive and feminine and all that. I don't buy all that shit. Not when you're running around talking about in ancient Africa, we was ruling, and pyramids of Egypt, and looking out of third eyes, and paradigm shifts, and worshiping the goddess Kali, and matriarchal belief systems and all that stuff, and dark portals and the Wombiverse and all that. Think about that, the Wombiverse, like, but yet, we're only allowed to be submissive in the bedroom. Like those two things contradict each other. I can go for one or the other, but I'm not gonna go for both. You gotta pick one. But there's a lot of women that want to flip-flop between the two. Oh, we're here because we were forced to. And then the next breath, oh no, we're here because, in ancient Africa, we was really ruling shit. And see, the problem is your orientation is Neanderthal, primitive, Eurocentric orientation, and you're not supposed to think, operate, or behave like that. Da 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 da. I'm like, if you're claiming that men being in the appropriate position is Eurocentric and everything, then clearly, you know what I mean? Then this is not a matter of you're just the victims to the evils of patriarchy. This has to do with, the fact that you believe that patriarchy is some Eurocentric shit. It's the same thing that we hear with the women, with this whole, you got one camp talking about beauty, femininity for black women, and you got another camp that wants to say wearing makeup and heels, is Eurocentric. And that's not the proper orientation for black women, and black women should just be walking out the house crusty as hell with a bonnet on their head, like, you know what I'm saying? And then complaining about, the reason why brothers ain't checking for us is colorism. It's like, maybe it's the fact that you walking around the house with a bonnet on and some pink fuzzy flip-flops and some sweatpants. Y'all know y'all seen these women walking in the Dollar Tree and shit like that. You know what I mean? With they shower caps on, looking like they literally rolled out of bed. Colorism. And anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. I got to get ready to go. SWP out.